My name is Larry. I'm with Azure CAD team. Right now, I'm focused on the Azure stack. As CAD PM, we normally drive some of the early adoption program or product validation program like Azure Stack Advisor or the CCEP TAP program. In this session, my colleague Bala and I we will discuss the Azure Stack and some of the hybrid scenario. Bala, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Larry. Hey, I'm Bala. I'm based in Redmond, Washington. I work on the hybrid networking piece of Azure Stack and generally also Azure networking focused features. Like Larry said, we work with customers to help them try new features or new services and help them deploy. And if there are any deployment blockers, we help unblock. And also we collect feedback and get it back to the engineering team to make sure that our features are focused towards how customers are going to use our product, right? So that's a brief intro. I'll talk about the hybrid connectivity part in the later half. Go ahead, Larry. Thanks.
Just a bit slow. Before we start, how many of you did join my session yesterday, talking about the Azure Stack? Okay, quite a few. Great. Yesterday, I mentioned Microsoft has a very unique view of the cloud because we believe cloud is the model. It's not just a place, okay? So, for example, today we are talking about the hybrid cloud. Hybrid cloud probably means different things from different people's perspective. For example, from Microsoft perspective, hybrid means customer use Azure, customer use their own data center. Okay, this is hybrid. They connect them together, use deploy application across the different cloud. But from the service provider's perspective, hybrid means different things. Hybrid means their customer deploy the service in service provider data center and also use their end customer's data center. That's the service provider's perspective. Look at hybrid cloud. So from the cloud ecosystem, we can see the hybrid cloud, including the three pieces. From Microsoft perspective, including the Azure, including the Microsoft Cloud Azure, also including the customer's private cloud and hosted cloud. Hosted cloud means we have the service provider, they have their own data center, they provide the cloud service to their end customer. So this is a whole ecosystem. Then why we believe cloud is model and not just a place? Because today, the server is not the center point anymore. It's no longer the center point. Actually, application is the king. No matter the developer decide to deploy the application in which cloud, we should unblock the developer. We should empower them, right? So that's why Azure Stack is designed for. So in Azure Stack, we expect the developer can have a consistent experience across the different clouds, including Azure, hosted cloud, and the private cloud. Okay, today, in today's session, we'll talk about some hybrid offering. We're focused on the hybrid. We're talking about hybrid offering, including for example, we'll look at how the Azure and the Azure Stack, they create offering for the customer, for the end users. And especially, we are looking at a special scenario, which is a new scenario, which covers the reseller and the dedicated provider. Then we will enable our service provider, enable our enterprise to resell or delegate the service to the downstream providers. In the second part, my colleague Bala will talk about the hybrid connectivity, including site-to-site VPN, express route, connect Azure Stack and the Azure. First, let's look at the offer. The first thing you need to do after you install the Azure Stack is to define the plan and the offer. Let's first look at how the Azure is doing, how it works in the Azure. In Azure, we have different offers. from free trial to MSDN to enterprise agreement, different offers. Normally, different offers means include the different price, include the maybe available in different regions, and also include the quotas for each service. Right? That's the offer. Then let's look at the end-to-end process and see how the users use this offer, how the service provider, how Azure map the offer to the usage and eventually map to the dollar. First, the user will subscribe to an offer. Then the user will get subscription ID. User provision resource with the subscription ID. All the meters will be collected with the subscription ID. And our commerce system, our billing system, will apply the price to the meter. Then customer get the bill, customer and pay the bill. That's the whole process on Azure. Then let's look at the Azure stack. On Azure stack, you end user, you end customer will also subscribe an offer. You create offer. Do you remember I mentioned right after you deploy the Azure stack, the first thing you need to do is create a plan and an offer. Then your user can subscribe an offer. User gets the subscription ID, provision resource with subscription ID. All the meters will be collected with the sub-ID. And your commerce system, your billing system, will apply the dollars, will apply the price to those meters. And you send your customer the bill. Right? You can see in terms of the process, there's a consistency between the Azure and the Azure stack. Now I will demo how to create the plan and offer, and I will also talk about a little bit about the add-on. So there might be some, actually compared to the Windows Azure Pack and the previous version, there is some difference between the add-on definition between the two versions, two products actually. Here's my Azure Stack TP2 deployment. Right now, I'm logging as a service admin. This is a new deployment. The first thing I need to do is create a plan. Let me refresh the page a bit. Okay. For example, I will create the base plan for the pay as you go. Let's say this is plan A. Okay. Or create a new resource group to host the plan resource. Select the service. I select compute, network, and storage. Very typical of the infrastructure as a service the plan. Then do you remember I mentioned each offer and the plan, we're including the quota, right? So we're including the quota here. In this plan, we will use the default quota. All the network, computer, storage will use the default quota. Then create the plan. From here, you can see the plan is initializing. After the plan is ready, we can create the offer. The offer is based on plan. Offer is based on a base plan and a multiple add-on plan. I mentioned different from Windows Azure Pack. Windows Azure Pack, when you create an offer, you can combine the plan and the add-on, but add-on must be combined, must be associated with the specific base plan. But on Azure Stack, Azure add-on is just a plan. Add-on plan and the base plan, they are same. They're just a plan. So you can mix the base plan, add-on plan, mix them together and put them in one offer. Now my plan is ready. I can create the offer. Let's see, this one is pay as you go. We use the existing resource group we just created. That's the RG0. Then I can select a base plan. Plan A is the base plan I just created. I use this base plan. Then I have the option to select, I can also add some of the other add-on plan. For example, you can even add another base plan, another plan A as an add-on plan, so they can combine. When the user subscribe this offer, they will get the double quota for the in the base plan. But at this moment, I will not add the add plan. I'll just create offer. After offer created, the offer status will be the private, which means no any user can subscribe the offer unless, as service admin, you create a subscription in that offer. You proactively associate the subscription with that offer. For example, right now, my offer is ready. Let me look at the pay and go, the offer. You can see now, the status of the offer is private. I can change it to public. If I change to public, it means all the users can subscribe the offer. But in this case, I don't want to go public because this plan might have the high quota. So I use another approach. I can add the talent subscription here. For example, this is for talent 1. Then I input the talent, the org ID right here. Okay. Just make sure there's no trouble. Then I select OK. So this is one of the approaches we add a subscription to the offer. Another approach is you change the status to the public, then user can subscribe the offer by themselves. Now I can create another offer, which this offer is called free trial, which has a very limited number of the resources. You give your customer a free trial so they can try the new service on your Azure Stack. I create a new plan. This plan is called free trial plan. Let's say free, keep it simple. I also put it in the resource group, RG0, and select service. This time I'm also use the compute, network, and storage. But different is, this time, this is free trial, so I want limited the number of the resource quota here. So for the one storage, I don't want to use the default quota. I create a new quota here, called free. Then we set the capacity of the quota. For example, 500 gigabytes for each storage count. You can have, let's see, only 10 storage counts. Okay. Now storage has the a quarter called new quarter called free. Same for the compute. We can create a new quarter, also called free. Let's see. It can only create, let's see, 5 VMs, for example. Okay. 5 VMs, 10 cores. For network, I will use the default one, just as an example. Now I have the new plan. Which is called free trial plan. Then I can create a free trial offer based on this plan. The base plan is based on the free base plan we just created, this one. Different from the pay-as-you-go offer. This offer I want open to everyone so they can try by themselves. So I will change the status to the public. It will show up very soon. Then after I create this plan, I change the status to public, then I will log off and log in as a tenant user. You will see how the tenant user subscribed a free trial plan. Now free trial plan is ready. I will log out and log in as the tenant admin. Use a tenant user, for example. Okay, first let me log in as a tenant admin 2. Okay. Okay, this is the first time the tenant admin to log in the Azure Stack portal. So as a new user, actually there's no any service he can use. For example, if he try, let's say, create a storage, he will say, hey, you need to get a subscription first. So what he needs to do is just get a subscription. Oh, shoot.
You have to make it
Yeah,
public.
I forgot to make it public. That's good. That's good test, right? Because we can go back to and change the status to public. Sorry about that. Offer. Yeah, we'll change status to the public. That's it. I believe now I can get the subscription. Right. Free offer is right here. Okay, here's a quick demo to show how the service provider, how the enterprise, after deploy the Azure Stack, then you can create offer and plan and add on. Actually, I can show you how to create the how to add-on service. As I just mentioned, add-on plan is exactly the same as the base plan. There's no difference. So, for example, someday the service admin decides he wants to extend the offering, pay and your grow offering, to double the quota. So he can do this. He can add the add-on plan to the offer. Pay as you go. Okay, here's the add-on plan. Service admin can add the new base plan to the plan A as another add-on plan to this offer. Okay, let's go back to my deck. That's the demo for the plan add-on offer. In this demo, we showed how to create the plan, base plan. Then you can apply the plan to the different region. Then you can add an add-on plan to the offer. You can also create a free trial plan, for example, that have limited results in this plan, in this offer. You can also change the service, and you can also change the service in the base plan. For example, when you're onboarding a new service, I mentioned in the yesterday session, we have some built-in RP. For example, storage, network, compute, those RP are built in the Azure Stack. But after deployed Azure Stack as a customer, you can deploy the additional RP, like the SQL RP, MySQL RP, web apps, Service Fabric. Those RP you can deploy by yourself. Then after you deploy new RP, you get a new capability. You can onboard a new service. Then you can add the service to the plan, or you can create a new base plan, add the base plan as an add-on plan to the existing offer. It's up to you. It's your choice. In this case, for the pay-and-you-go offer, we add the new service to the base plan. For the free trial offer, we add the new service as a separate plan, then add that plan to the free trial offer as an add-on plan. Okay, let's do some basic about the plan, add-on, and offer. Then let's look at a very interesting scenario, and that's the onboard reseller. I still remember about 2 years ago when I had a meeting with the service provider based in Hong Kong. They provided the cloud service to the customer across the Asia-Pacific region, especially in Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Southeast Asia. He told me the most challenges for him is with Azure Pack is on WAP, we don't support the reseller. We don't have the reseller portal for the reseller, but in their scenario, they leverage their channel partner to reach their end customer, which means they need a portal for their reseller, so the reseller can rebrand the portal to their end customer. They, as a service provider, they own the data center, they own the service, they're behind the reseller, they're behind the channel partner, so they need this kind of the reseller capability. But unfortunately, on Windows Azure Pack, we don't have this capability, we don't have this feature. The good news is on Azure Stack, we have this scenario enable. We call it a reseller and dedicated provider scenario. Actually, this scenario is not just for the service provider. They also work for the enterprise. Think about this. In a large enterprise, they might have the central IT, right? They have the large data center in the headquarters, but they have the different subsidiaries, a different business unit across countries or even across the world. They want to leverage the subsidiaries or subsidiary IT to reach their end customer, to provide service to their end customer. So they might also need the reseller and dedicated provider this scenario to enable them to achieve that goal. Okay. Reselling through a dedicated provider. So in Azure Stack, we allow the service admin to create a delegation hierarchy to enable the downstream provider. That's what the scenario and delegated provider scenario doing. Look at this picture. The top is the service provider, the guy who owns the data center, who provides service, who operates the data center, operates the Azure stack. Then the second layer probably is a distributor. Right? Then distributor can also delegate to the reseller. Then reseller can sell the service to the end customer, to the end user. Basically, all the service you onboard on the Azure stack could be resell, could be delegated to the downstream providers. Also, for each level, the downstream providers can collect the usage and bill their customer. As a service admin, you can also have the roll up the usage data. Let's look at the responsibility of the service admin and dedicated provider. On your left is the service admin. He or she maintains the infrastructure and the resource provider, create a catalog of offers, onboard resellers, provide the support to the infrastructure and the support and troubleshooting the issues. Right? On your right hand is the dedicated provider. Their responsibility is to select which offer to make available to their end customer, onboard the customer, build the customer, and escalate the troubleshooting issue to the cloud admin. Now let me demo how we onboard a reseller, onboard a dedicated provider on Azure Stack. Now I'm in the service admin portal. I can create a.
It's not showing up. It's not showing up.
Oh, sorry. I should. Here we go. This is service admin's console, right? Service admin. Same as previous, we created a plan. Now I also create a new plan. This plan is for reseller. Okay. We put them in the same resource group. Service here, I only select one service. That's the service is called subscriptions. I do not need to select the other resource here, because in this plan, in this offer, the only purpose is onboard the Azure Stack reseller or Azure Stack dedicated provider to build the connection between the reseller and the service provider. I select a subscription, use the default quota. No? Yeah, use the dedicated quota. Then create the plan and create the offer based on that plan. Offer for reseller. The base plan is the plan for reseller. That's my base plan. Okay, this offer can only include one service. That's a subscription. Because this offer is for the reseller and dedicated provider. Should I change the status to public? Probably not, right? You don't want anyone can be your reseller or dedicated provider. You probably want to control the connection. So in this case, when I decide to onboard a reseller, I go to this offer. Okay. Add the tenant subscription. For example, this is sub for reseller. Right. Then put the reseller ID, org ID here. Reseller at Azure Stack. Azure R0. Microsoft Azure Stack. And click OK. Now I have the offer. I add the subscription to the offer. Then the subscription owner, that org ID, will have the permission to access the subscription. The next thing I need to do is I create a plan. I create an offer template. The offer template is a service admin used to control what kind of service my dedicated provider, my reseller, can sell to their end customer. So in this case, I will keep it simple. I just use plan A as my template. So I just create a new offer. The offer is based on the plan A. We call it template offer. Use the plan A as the template. That's base plan. And create. Same as the offer for reseller. I don't want to change the status to the public because I don't want anyone can subscribe the offer. This offer is just a template for my reseller. Now I log in. Hold on for a second. I need to delegate the permission of this template to my reseller. So this is an offer for reseller. This is a template offer. Okay. In template offer, there's a setting called dedicated provider. Right here, I can add the reseller to the offer. So that reseller can access the template, can resell the offer to their end customer. I select the subscription here. This is sub for the reseller. I delegate. Okay. Then I sign out. I will log in as a reseller. Use a new account. It's the reseller first time to log in the portal. So right now, as the reseller, actually he already had the subscription, which is associated with, which is created by the service admin. You can see. As a reseller, I didn't get a subscription. That subscription is designed by the service admin. So now I can create an offer for my customer. Let's say it's a reseller. RG1, select a dedicated offer. That offer is a template, right? It's created by the service admin, but dedicated to me. So I select this as template. Then I create offer. I will change the offer to public. Then I will log in as a separate user. You will see a user can get the offer from the dedicated provider. I change the status to the public. You may be curious, as a dedicated provider, I don't have my dedicated server, dedicated portal. How the user access my service? Right? If the user access the Azure Stack endpoint, he probably will access the service provided by the service admin, the service provider, not the dedicated provider. The magic is here. Each dedicated provider has a separate link. Right here at this, okay. The provider setting. So each reseller and dedicated provider, they can rebrand the portal. For example, my name is Contoso, so I will see my provider ID is Contoso. Contoso. Then I save it. Do you see the address here? Here's the dedicated provider and the reseller's portal. I need to copy this. Then I will sign out. I will log in again with the service provider's link. That's the provider equal Contoso. Go. I log in as a new user. That's a talent admin. Oops. I0, no, I0. As a tenant user, now I log in the reseller and dedicated provider's portal. I can select get a subscription. You can see I can see the reseller offer. I didn't see the free trial offer from the service admin. I only see the reseller offer. That's the reseller and dedicated provider demo. Next, I will pass time to Bala. Bala will talk about the hybrid cloud connectivity. Bala.
Thanks, Larry. This is working. Okay. So before I go into connectivity options, first I wanted to give you some information about what this is about, and then I wanted to ask you some questions about how much you know about existing connectivity options for connecting to cloud. So this one is more of what I am trying to do, the post TP2. The TP2 is the current preview, and post TP2 we wanted to add additional capabilities, and whatever I'm going to show you is more of a preview. This is just to collect some feedback and make sure that this is something that will be useful to our customers. So before I go further, how many of you are aware of the connectivity options to Azure? Like what kind of connectivity options are there to connect to Azure? So I see a couple of hands there. So just for the sake of bringing everybody up to speed, so normally When you want to deploy, let's say you have some workload in Azure IaaS or Azure PaaS, you want to access your workloads, what kind of connections? Basically, as a client, you can go to your browser, probably it's a web app, and you go to that URL, and you are able to resolve that IP and reach your workload. That's regular internet connectivity, and it goes through the public internet. And that is like a user or somebody trying to access your website. Then number two would be the as a developer scenario, you are deploying your apps in your IaaS environment, and you want to quickly make changes to your setup there. So you want to make sure that you are able to access the infrastructure in the cloud, and for that, come away from the speaker. For that, you want to be able to access the entire network, and because it's just one developer trying to access the infrastructure, he could just make a VPN connection through the gateway for the cloud VNet and access the entire network, and just one user connecting. That's the second scenario, point-to-site connectivity. The third one is like the vision of our thing, like a hybrid cloud. You want to connect your entire on-prem infrastructure to Azure, and you want to make sure that all network resources in your on-prem could be able to talk to all network resources in the cloud. So for that, to have this complete network-to-network connectivity, you could go through internet and set up a VPN tunnel between a gateway in the on-prem and gateway in Azure, so you can reach end-to-end. That's the third scenario. It's meant for kind of small and medium business segment customers or some enterprises also. The thing is, the tunnel is going over the internet, even though it is encrypted. There are some limitations in terms of how much of bandwidth you will get for the VPN tunnel. Then the last one is the express route option, which provides, similar to the option 3, it provides a complete network-to-network connectivity, and moreover, it also helps you connect to the 3 clouds of Microsoft, like Office 365 or Azure PaaS or Azure IaaS environment. Did anybody attend my previous 2 sessions on SDN and Express Route? Okay. So you guys know what I'm talking about, the Express Route option. And it's basically, it provides connectivity to all 3. And Azure Stack currently in the TP2 model supports the third option, which is you as a tenant, you can go and create your virtual network within Azure Stack. You can create your gateway, and then through the gateway, you can set up a site-to-site VPN connection to your Azure IaaS VNet, so that your entire Azure Stack network for the tenant could go through the site-to-site connection and reach Azure. So basically, it helps enable the hybrid connectivity option. So what I'm going to talk about is how do I extend that and use Express Route to connect to Azure from my Azure Stack deployment, and that's what this whole session is about. So before I go into this one, because Azure Stack is running on top of Server 2016 SDN, let's look at the options we have in Server 2016, because it's going to be built on top of the Server 2016 SDN capability. In my previous talk, I talked about 3 different types of gateway, an IPsec gateway, a GRE gateway, and an L3 gateway. Those are the 3 options. Currently, in the Server 2016, it supports some kind of M+N configuration. So you can have a multi-tenant gateway as a hoster, and make that available for all the tenant VNets, and each of the tenant could get their VPN tunnel terminated into that multi-tenant gateway. And as and when you have more tenants added, you could, based on your load, you can add more as Azure Stack admin or the service admin could add more gateways, and that's the M+N configuration. If one of the gateway fails, the remaining gateways can still take care of the load. Those are the inherent capabilities of Server 2016 SDN, and Azure Stack is trying to leverage those things and make it available for the Azure Stack service admin and also for the tenant admin to create those tunnels themselves. Okay, and Server 2016, you deploy all this gateway through the SCVMM. Here, Azure Stack portal gives you the ability to configure the gateways. All right, so the L3 gateway is one of the options that is available in Server 2016, and it helps the I'm just showing a single gateway, but you could put that behind a load balancer, so you can have multiple gateways. But the idea is anything in front of the multi-tenant gateway, you can have maybe in the on-prem itself, you may have multiple VLANs created in a hoster scenario. The hoster could have created multiple VLANs for their tenants, and then each of those hosters each of those tenants want to connect to their VNet within the Azure Stack environment, and you can extend that VLAN connection into the multi-tenant gateway. Thereby, this blue VM or the blue tenant could go through the VLAN ID 40 and go through the tenant VNet behind the Azure Stack gateway. The same way, this customer could go through this separate VLAN, and you can terminate those VLAN entries here. It's because it is going to be simply forwarding gateway. You get high throughput up to 8 Gbps in the VLAN gateway. But the only downside is any networking gear that is leading up to the gateway will have to support the VLAN ID. So you have to configure the hubs and switches, the routers and switches to support the VLAN. So the next option is a GRE tunnel. The same setup, but if you don't want to create VLANs throughout your infrastructure, you can simply set up a GRE tunnel between your, maybe as a hoster, you have separations, or you can let your tenants' MPLS connections that are basically a GRE connection. You can extend them to the multi-tenant gateway and terminate the GRE tunnel of your individual tenants' MPLS traffic into that gateway, and behind that you can connect the respective tenant VNets. So that's the other model, and it has about 2.5 Gbps as the bandwidth. The third option is the IPsec gateway. The IPsec gateway is what currently available in Azure Stack TP2, and normally this is for connecting to Azure. Like initially I talked about how Azure Stack tenants can talk to their respective VNets in Azure. In that scenario, this is going over the public internet, and you can establish an IPsec tunnel from the respective tenants VNet in Azure, and then terminate that into the multi-tenant gateway, and then extend that to the respective tenant VNet inside Azure Stack. This is the default out-of-the-box option for the site-to-site connection in Azure Stack. And so it has, because it is using IPsec and it is secure, it also has a limitation in terms of how much throughput you can send through this tunnel. It is up to 300 Mbps. All right, so before I go into how to connect the express route to the Azure Stack environment, let's take a look at the single node architecture, the network architecture of TP2. Typically, TP2, this is the gateway that I talked about. It has the publicly accessible virtual IP, and that is what is the endpoint I showed in the previous diagram. the IPsec tunnel or GRE tunnel or the layer 3 gateway could terminate to. And then behind that multi-tenant gateway, the individual tenants can create their own VNets and deploy their workloads there, right? The rest of it is the Azure Stack admins infrastructure, and they are behind some kind of a NAT device in this TP2 deployment, and then the NAT device connects it to the rest of the infrastructure towards internet. And then obviously you will have a router and then a firewall goes to internet, and if you want to set up a site-to-site connection, it will be this WIP address to the Azure VPN gateway. So between Azure VPN through the firewall, through the NAT device, it will come to this WIP address, and then based on the endpoint's IP, you are going to say, hey, this belongs to either tenant A, or if you have another tenant, you can redirect the traffic to respective tunnels. So each tenant will have their own pipe. It will not see another tenant's traffic, and it is encrypted because it is IPsec. So that is the current deployment. And the other way to get to your tenant infrastructure is directly by exposing the virtual IP. So if you deploy some resources within your Azure Stack environment, they could get a corresponding WIP IP, and people could directly come and hit the WIP and reach the internal resources. It's something similar to the first option we saw in the very first slide, where you just go through your client browser, go over the internet, and reach the virtual IP, and reach maybe the website or something like that. In those cases, it is not going to use the gateway, and it is simply doing the address translation and getting into your respective workload within that. I'm not talking about that scenario. I'm talking about entire network, this entire VNet connecting back to the entire VNet of that particular tenant in Azure. Okay, so since I'm not talking about that WIP option, and this is about basically how do I connect through the gateway and reach my entire VNet here. All right. This is basically because you are going to establish a site-to-site VPN tunnel over the internet. There are requirements like you have to have public IP for your gateway, so that the Azure site can connect to the public IP of your multi-tenant gateway and establish the VPN tunnel. So in some cases, it will be hard for people to get a public IPv4 address. So that's why I'm putting that as some kind of a challenge. And because this is going to go over the internet, people, even though it is secure, it is protected by encrypted by IPsec, still there are some institutions that are having policies, hey, if I want to access the cloud, I will have to have my own connection. I cannot go over internet. That could be a security requirement for some companies. So those are the challenges some companies will have. And because we talked about the bandwidth of 300 Mbps, and 300 Mbps may not be enough for some people to have this tunnel with this limited bandwidth. So what did we do to address this? So this is the solution my team is coming up with, trying to make sure Azure Stack can connect to Azure over ExpressRoute option, basically because ExpressRoute provides bandwidth of up to 10 gigs, and it doesn't go over the internet. It's a dedicated connection. And how do I terminate that ExpressRoute connection into my Azure Stack? That is our team's POC that we are working on. Once it gets validated, we will publish documentation so that when you are using or deploying Azure Stack in your environment, one, you can have ExpressRoute. Individual tenants behind Azure Stack can have their own ExpressRoute, and they will have dedicated ExpressRoute connection for each of the tenant without interfering with another tenant, right? That's the model we are trying to propose. And the advantage is, as I said, it can connect to all three clouds of Microsoft IaaS, PaaS, and Office 365. So we talked about this in my talk earlier slide, so I'm going to go through this quickly. ExpressRoute gives you predictable performance because it is dedicated. You can buy the bandwidth that you want, and because it is not going over the internet, the normal security concerns are not here, and you can go up to 10 gig, and the bandwidths are based on the usage. The costs are based on how much you use, or you can have some flat fee model also depending on what you really want to connect. Benefits of ER for Azure Stack, basically there is no problem with the public IP requirement here because you are connecting to your private IaaS environment in Azure to your tenant VNets in Azure Stack, and they all can be in private IP space. There is no public IP requirement there. Each tenant can have their own ExpressRoute circuit so that the other tenants will not affect your traffic. And because it doesn't go through internet, it satisfies some of the security requirements, and then it provides end-to-end isolation. So tenant A and tenant B can be behind the same Azure Stack environment. Each of them can have their own ExpressRoute circuit. Their traffic, they don't see each other's traffic, right, all the way up to Azure. All right. Basically, another thing. So these kind of things, if you are a host or a service provider and you are trying to do this for your clients, it could be additional value add for a service provider. Say you can offer ER capabilities for your tenants too. So how do we do this based on this Azure Stack infrastructure? So what I'm going to show is I have an ER connection, and I am terminating my ER connection into the router in this place. Basically, the WAN connection from my provider. The ExpressRoute goes through a provider and then reaches Azure, right? So any connection, physical connection I get from my provider is terminated in the WAN side of the ER router, and that's what I'm trying to project here. And this is the setup that will look like. So I'm projecting that router and making it as a big box here so that you can see how the isolation is happening. Within the router, I'm creating multiple virtual routing and forwarding table, one for each tenant. And then the ExpressRoute circuit comes to the WAN interface. ExpressRoute circuit normally comes in pair, like a primary and secondary. So that's why you have these two physical interfaces. And within the physical interface, the hoster could create multiple logical sub-interfaces for each tenant. And each sub-interfaces could be put into the respective virtual routing and forwarding table. And that VRF is extended to a dedicated LAN sub-interface on the router. So on the LAN side of this router, I create multiple sub-interfaces similar to the multiple sub-interfaces of the WAN interface. So each LAN sub-interface is dedicated to a particular tenant, right? So why am I doing that is because currently the gateway here is going to support, So it's basically an extension of this NAT box here, showing it within my Azure Stack infrastructure. And the multi-tenant gateway here is the gateway pool represented here. And I have multiple tenants behind the gateway. And what I'm trying to do is establish VPN connection from each of the tenants' address through the multi-tenant gateway to the respective LAN side of the router, so that the tenant can have their own private connection up to the LAN interface, and when it comes out of the sub-interface of the LAN, it goes to the dedicated virtual routing and forwarding table of that tenant. Then through that, it can connect to the ExpressRoute WAN side of the router and connect to Azure. That's the model. Let me show you how it looks like in the end. So ER router, obviously everybody will have an express route connection as a hoster, and you can get a fiber coming into your router and create multiple sub-interfaces for each tenant, and each tenant can go to Azure and get their own ER subscription and give the subscription ID to the hoster. Hoster can go through the provider portal and link each of the ER circuit to the respective WAN sub-interfaces so that each tenant has their own dedicated connection. So that's the model. So tenant goes to Azure, creates their own subscription, buys their ER circuit, gets a service key, gives that service key to the Azure Stack service admin, and the service admin will go to the network provider's portal and link the service key to the respective WAN interfaces so that he can connect it to the respective tenant VNet. So that's the model. So let's take a look at a demo. Okay, so what I have is basically this is a public IP I have, and it's the same demo setup I used in the other two, but the focus here is going to be on the Azure Stack side of it. So let me connect to my setup. So I'm connecting to my Azure Stack as a tenant admin. I have already provisioned this, so let me log in to Azure Stack. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Why is this not happening? Okay, sorry, this broke actually. I can't change the password now. So the way is like I have this. Do you have a gateway or something in your setup? Okay, all right. So the password expired. I didn't expect that to happen, but we will be. We'll be connecting to this gateway, and my SQL server is on this side. And when you connect to this public IP, it is reaching my app in Azure. And from Azure, I have my Express Route connection here. Comes through the Express Route gateway to my on-prem Express Route router that I showed you earlier, and that is connected to my multi-tenant gateway, and it can reach my SQL box. So the app here is basically talking to the SQL on the back end. That's the actual demo to show a dedicated end-to-end connection. Okay, that's all I have. Any questions? I'll be here. You can ask me further questions. Again, this is more of a POC. We will give detailed guidance once it goes through all our testing. Okay. All right. Thank you.